Shalom. Kal halalim la Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah Kodash. All praises, honor, glory, and blessings and power be unto Abanoah Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to our apostles, elders, elder bishops of Great Millstone, and shalom to the prophets of that body, and shalom to the 144,000 and one third. May peace and blessings and the spirit of endurance be upon you and your households as we approach the end, Lord willing soon. And, from a UK perspective, not UK, let's a worldwide perspective, I hope everyone out there, all the you hopeful elect Israelites, had did the Passover or Pesach service to the best of your ability. Okay. If you had any questions, you should have Googled the Great Millstone, specific channels that you watch a lot, especially from the, our apostles and elders. There's numerous videos online how to do what you can with the ability, within your own particular realm, your own, with the ability that Lord will give you. Like if you're an Israelite foreigner and, you live in a household, collectively in a family, I can understand where sometimes you can't be blatant with your belief system because you could be in an environment where, it could lead to something where, especially if you're a youngster, that is, if you got your own spot, you're good. You could be kicked out of the house. So, just do it within your room facing the east and do your prayers, okay, and follow suit. But anyway, I hope everybody had a lovely Pesach. It wasn't. It's a solemn assembly. It's a holy day, but it is. I hope everybody had the Passover service in a lovely, spiritual fashion, in the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yashar, because it's not a lamb dinner, as our elders would say it. All right. But nevertheless, Shabbat Shalom. We are in the first day after the Pesach service of the first day is a Sabbath and the seventh day is a Sabbath. Okay, so from evening to evening, 7 days. Anyway, nevertheless, all right. This news segment captured me, right? Captured my eyes. And this is from 3 weeks ago. Now, it says here, Gen Z revival. New York City church sees lines out the door every Sunday. All right. And we know that the wacky-tacky Christian church, right, are full of faggots, PDF files, TRANSs. They are pretty much go along with everything of this world. They just add the spin of love, 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 no hate. The Most High don't hate. And they think just by going to the church and saying Jebus, 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 that the Lord is going to hear them. And a lot of these are heathens. And the Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, the Most High power of heaven and earth, okay, the real Most High, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, does not hear the prayers of these heathens because they are not his children. All right. And even on this side, the 2/3 that are going to be cut off, pursuant to Zechariah, I believe it's 13:8 and 13:9, the book of Zechariah. Okay. The Lord doesn't even hear them, and they're Israelites by blood, but the Lord doesn't hear them because those are the same Jakes back here today that turned their back on the Lord when he walked the earth the first time round, and they've also disrespected the men of the Lord, the men of Yahweh Bashem Yashai. So the Lord is not even looking at them with favorable eyes. And the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yashai, is sure as hell ain't looking at no heathen, you Edomites, you Elamites. Okay, I'm talking about you real Edomites, you real Elamites, you Moabites, you Ammonites. Okay, I just talked about the so-called white man, East Indians, Japanese, Chinese, Polynesians, etc., etc., etc. Those of you that are not part of the fold, the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai is not looking at you. All right. And then you got a lot of our people that look like the other nations because Jake has laid down with women of many nations. And, our people have a natural belief system where they believe in a higher power, but they don't have it according to knowledge. Loosely paraphrasing scripture there, which is Romans 10 verse 2. All right. And I don't know if I want to play the segment or not. What's he going to show? Let me just see. Let me see. I'll play a little bit to see what they're saying, right? It's not really crucial. It's a 7-minute thing. You know, copyright fair use. I'm not making no money out of this. I'm just going along with what what's being said. Gen Z revival. It's a little too late. And ultimately, this is a beautiful sign, knowing that even Gen Z, these kids that are born with mobile phones in their hands, they know something is up, something ain't right. A lot of these Gen Zs were born 15, 16, 17, 18, 20 years ago, 20 plus, 22, 23, 24, 25 years ago. A lot of them are gravitating towards, movies, music of the 80s, 90s, 70s, fashions of that time. If you look at young girls these days, they're dressing like Aaliyah. They're dressing like a lot of the female rappers from back in the day. TLC, is it TLC? Yeah, TLC, the sort of baggy-ish look with the baggy pants, baggy jeans, Tim's, sneakers, with that tomboyish look, but with a girly twist to it. They're sort of gravitating towards that era, They're not so engrossed with this world. They're actually quite disgusted with this world. And they know something is not right. Something is on the horizon. A lot of people feel that the end is near, but they can't put their finger on it. Only the men of Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai, elders on down, and the hopeful elect, all right, they know something is up. And we know in the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai that this kingdom is done. 2nd Ezra 6 verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. All right. Let's just play a little bit, a few seconds, see what's going on.
And one historic New York City church is at the center of that movement.
Carly spoke to some young people before yesterday's Mass and joins us with the latest.
I certainly do. Yeah, who knew that there would be this remarkable religious movement among young people in the heart of New York City? We are talking standing room only, a line at the door every Sunday at St. Joseph's Church, which is in Greenwich Village. So I spoke to some of those young people yesterday ahead of this packed out Mass to learn why they are so on fire for God. Watch this. There is a revival taking place right now among young people who are going to church and embracing their faith in God, some of them for the first time in their lives. I'm at St. Joseph's Church, which was founded in 1829. It's one of the oldest churches in New York City, which is interesting because it's become a real hot spot to some of the youngest parishioners.
At our masses, they're full. The 11:30 a.m., there are people all over the balcony. Ash Wednesday, it was out the door, down the steps, down the sidewalk, around the corner to get into church.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
I've seen successful ministries, but not a groundswell, not just at the parish here, but across the American church and beyond. I've never seen anything like this.
Do you think that there is a religious movement taking place among young people right now? Are you noticing it as young people yourselves?
I'd say yes. I think even when I talk to classmates that aren't Catholic, they seem to have some kind of interest. They're always at least interested to hear a little bit about it.
When people think of this city, I don't know if they would think about this, but it's happening and you guys are a part of that.
I think that New York City is kind of a scary and intimidating place, but it's so easy to be Catholic here if you just kind of put a little effort into finding good communities like we have here.
There's a little bit of everything in New York, but I would say St. Joe's is a little bit of slice of heaven. It's really refreshing.
The first couple look like Northern Kingdom anyway. But nevertheless, it's a cross-section of people. They're just going to get some interviews of, Catholicism is BS. It's nothing to do with the scriptures, okay? All these little offshoots of so-called Christianity is all BS. They talk about God, but God has a name, all right? But the name is dreadful among the heathen, right? Let's go to some scriptures that I quoted first. All right, I went to Zechariah 13:8 and 13:9. Don't need to play the whole thing. They're just going to go on how they feel, how they feel on a Sunday. And they're still doing what they're not supposed to do. Obviously, even the heathen, once we get them in slavery in the kingdom, they're going to be taught to serve the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yeshai the right way. It doesn't make them Israelites, but they're just going to show respect. Okay? But you Jakes, you're going to learn, man. All right? You're going to learn. And you, especially you Northern Kingdom Jakes, man. You want to be crackers? You make me sick to my stomach, man. You know? I speak to a lot of you sometimes, you know, through work and stuff like that. Some of you are real effed up, man. The way you guys say get so engrossed in Christmas, even Edom doesn't get engrossed in that bullshit. You get engrossed, you know, you call Halloween a pagan holiday, but then you're celebrating Christmas. You know, that's what a Venezuelan guy, I think he's a Venezuelans are Asherites. His mother's Italian. His father's Venezuelan. His mother's Southern Italian. He's an Israelite anyway, but his mother's an Israelite also. It doesn't matter what the woman is, but you know, he's Jake anyway. But nevertheless, you know, that guy's bugged out, man. I need to go to him. But Zechariah 13:8. So, you know, some of you Israelites are in these churches. Some of you heathens are in these churches. All right. And a lot of you, you know, you Israelites that are 2/3, the Lord looks at you like a heathen. Number one, you don't know the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yeshai's name. You're doing everything adverse to the scriptures. Satanism is everything adverse to the scriptures. Satanism says, you know, a man can be a M-O-E, a rainbow person, right? A woman can be a rainbow person, right? And it could be a PDF file. That's okay, as long as you love. You can eat shrimp, crab, lobster, swine. You know, as long as you pray over it, it's clean. You can have sex on the Sabbath with your woman. You know, along with, you know, women on their monthly cycle can come into church. You know, making the church, basically making everything unclean. Okay, so Satanism is everything adverse to the scriptures. And a lot of these MFers eat their meat very raw. What do they call it? Rare. You know, cook my steak rare. You know, a lot of them do that. Okay, Brakti Habashim Hashah 144. It's 10:44 right now in the morning. So a lot of them do that. So that's everything adverse to the scriptures. If you're doing everything adverse to the scriptures, that makes you a Satanist. Okay, because that's what Aleister Crowley stated. What's that? Is it do what thou wilt? Let me just get my phone. I'm gonna Google that term because I always forget what that motherfucker said. Part of my French with the lingo. Sometimes you get frustrated with this bullshit in this world, and certain words come out of your mouth because you're sick to death of this damn world, man. Do what? Yeah. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law is a central dictum of Thelema, a philosophy established by Aleister Crowley in 1904. It means to identify and follow one's true will, a singular divine purpose or destiny rather than mere fleeting whims or societal expectations while respecting the rights of others. Basically, do what the fuck you want. That's what modern day Christianity is. It's just disguised as so-called Christianity, but it's really Satanism. Okay? So they think that because they, got their button-down shirts and got a haircut, slicked their hair back and, looking somewhat tidy, and they're sitting in the church all neat and tidy in rows on a Sunday, they think that the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yeshai is going to hear them. They think that their God is going to hear them. Satan might be wandering around them, but the Most High ain't going to hear them. They're still going to get judgment. Okay? And a lot of our people, New York is full of a lot of Judah, Ephraim, Benjamin, and looking at that crowd, I saw a couple of different shades here and there, but they look like Northern Kingdom, maybe Italians also amongst them, Southern Kingdom, right? But the rest were Edomites. But this is a good sign because this research or this increase of going to the church and believing in a so-called God is a reflection of the sign of the times, knowing that time is short, okay? And the devil know he has but a short time, Revelation 12, verse 12. That's why these Edomites, these so-called white people, are going to get busy. We see World War III on the horizon. We see the Strait of Hormuz, the chokehold, literally choking the world. Prices increasing, rocketing, energy lockdowns, you know. So the economy is not in a robust fashion, meaning people ain't buying, selling, people are not on the high street going to the restaurant during lunchtime. Oh, let me go and grab a quick uh, a pie and chips or something. When I say pie and chips, I'm talking about French fries and a chicken pie or something, you know, or a fish and chips here in the UK, or in America, probably a burger, a hamburger and fries or whatever. Nobody's not doing that anymore. So obviously this is a reflection of the sign of the times, knowing that something's coming down the horizon and this world is being choked. The way that the Strait of Hormuz is choking the world, Yahweh Hashem is going to carry on choking this world until it collapses. And we are on the verge of this collapse of this society. And these youngsters know that something's on the horizon. They think, you know what? Let me gravitate to God right now. I'm saying God because they don't know the true name and they're heathens anyway. All right. And so maybe they can be protected when all hell breaks loose. So when everything is hunky dory, they don't want to go. They don't want to ask the most. They don't want to praise the Most High, all right, or whoever they call God. But when things are getting serious, that's when they want to get, in the queue to go to so-called church, which doesn't mean a fucking thing anyway. All right. What does the Lord say about the faith? Okay, you can't be one of them. Believe it when I see it, Jakes. Okay, the elect have faith. Hebrews 11 verse 1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11 verse 6. Without faith, it is impossible to please the Lord. Loosely paraphrasing, okay? Yeah. I'm reading it from my phone, Hebrews 11 verse 6. But without faith, it is impossible to please him, for he that cometh to Yahweh Hashem Yeshai must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. All right? And these people aren't diligently seeking the Lord. Number one, most of them are heathens, so the Lord don't hear them prayers anyway. And the Lord, what did the Lord say? His name is dreadful among the heathen. That's why a lot of heathens say God. They say the Christ shit. They say the Jeebus shit. The Amalekite Edomites, the top level of these crackers, these Edomites, those small hats, those JOOs. They say Hashem, 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 the name. They can't say the real name. Why? Because they are not the true people. All right? Let's go to Zechariah 13 and 8, 13 and 9. And even our people, they're not our people on this side, but they'll be in the kingdom. The 2/3. The Lord looks at them with unfavorable eyes. He doesn't deem them, as his sheep, because they are just like the natural heathen. Okay, the way they behave, they're actually worse than the natural heathen. Zechariah 13 and 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yeshai, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. Verse 9. And I will bring the third part through the fire and will refine them as silver is refined. The third part is the elect. Within that elect is 144,000, and they're going through their trials and tribulations. Okay, and they're calling upon the real name of Yahweh Hashem Yeshai. No hopeful elect member is calling on Jeebus, unless the Lord is going to bring them in at some point. Okay, no hopeful elect member is going to be left, out there calling on Jeebus. Okay, and I will bring the third part through the fire and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, all right, and I will hear them, and I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yeshai is my power. Okay, the hopeful elect, have always had that belief system. Then they come into the truth, and they're hooked. They've got their anchor of Yahweh Hashem Yeshai. They've got their balance in the world now. They've got that support system. They've got the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yeshai, and they call upon the name. All right, and they didn't dilly-dally. They started calling on the name straight away because it made perfect sense. That missing jigsaw puzzle in their life, that puzzle was found, and that was the name of Yahweh Hashem Yeshai, and knowing that you're an Israelite. Romans 8:16, the Spirit beareth witness. All right, Acts 4 and 12. There's only one name under heaven that we must be saved. Okay, and the elect are going to call upon the name. Ecclesiastes 17 and 10. And the elect shall praise his holy name. And the name is Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Okay? All right? So, and what did the Lord say about these solemn assemblies? The Lord don't care about... Let me go to that scripture, man. Acts 5 and 21. Okay? So all you 2/3 Jakes that are going into these churches, okay, think that it's going to help you because, you know, you're out of work or you're going through some trials and tribulations. Before, you didn't even try when thing was hunky-dory. You were earning that good paper. You were earning that good money. Everything was going great. All right? You didn't call upon the Lord then. Okay? But now you're trying to, but you're still going in the wrong direction. And I'm talking to the Israelites. You heathens, you ain't got a chance, period. All right? But you think, okay, you know, the atrocities of your forefathers, the things, the crimes that they've committed and how they attained the world and America. You think just by going to church on a Sunday and ringing some fucking bells and being cool to so-called black and brown people is going to help your cause. You're sadly mistaken. Okay? Because the Lord hates this world. The Lord hates these so-called solemn assemblies and these wacky-tacky feast days, you know, your Easter eggs, your bunnies, your Halloween, your Christmases, your turkey days, all that bullshit. The Lord Yahweh Shemeshai hates. Amos 5 and 21. I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. Okay, verse 22. Though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them, neither will I regard the peace offerings of your fat beasts. Verse 23, take thou away from me the noise of thy songs, for I will not hear the melody of thy viols. Okay? Any of these, you know, these songs that they sing, you know, oh Lord, I love you, you know, all that, all that kind of stuff. You know, the Lord don't want to hear all that. Okay? The Lord don't want to, smell, crispy pork being burnt and cooked downstairs in the kitchens, in your churches. Hail Mary and all that bullshit. The Lord don't want to hear that nonsense. Okay? You heathens, you're finished, okay? You think, okay, where was all this love for Jacob in the beginning? When you had the world, in your reigns, all right, and you had control over it, there was no love and peace then, no revivals then, right? So-called revivals, right? But now we're approaching the end. Now you think, I'm going to church and ringing some bells, everything's going to be hunky-dory. Now you're sadly mistaken, all right? You heathens, fuck you. We don't care about you. But you Israelites that are going to these churches, the Lord don't care about it, man. And you're 2/3 anyway, unless the Lord draws you out of that bullshit. Okay? Okay? And the Lord's going to say, when that time comes, call upon the gods that, that you're calling upon, when all hell breaks loose. You heard the name of Yahweh Bashem Yashai. And where is this church based that we just saw on Fox News? In New York City. Are you telling me, bruv? The amount of preaching our apostles and elders have done, visually speaking, that we saw with our own eyes, old footage from early to the mid 80s, down over 40 years of preaching, Elder Apostle Tahar, and prior to that, the 7 heads of the Israelite school in New York City, One West. Okay, High Priest Ariyah and all the other all the other great elders, man. King Mashah, aka King David, right? Yeah, and Elder Yaquab. I don't know all the names, so Salakia. All right. And prior to that, Elder Abba Bivens, man. I believe the elders say he was John the Baptist. Lord willing, I'm saying this correctly. Okay? Because reincarnation is real. All that preaching going on in ground zero Babylon, especially in New York City, which is a real known city. You know, every time you saw high-end fashions and colognes and perfumes, what does it say on there? New York, Paris, London, the key high-end, high-fashion, financial hubs of those countries. New York for America, Paris for France, London for the UK, right? Are you telling me? And our elders and prophets were teaching on the front lines in Edomite areas, on the highways and byways, in Jake neighborhoods, on the highways and byways, in your high-end areas, your low-end areas, all over the place. Okay? With microphones, Times Square, every nation saw. Are you telling me you don't know about the Israelites? And you 2/3 that are going into these damn churches, you haven't heard the name of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. You haven't been inquisitive enough to put 2 and 2 together. You know why? Because the Lord don't care about you, man. The Lord has blinded you. The Lord has put you in the lot of a heathen. All right? Now let's go to the scriptures when that time comes, all right? All right, you heard the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yashai. You heard it. But still, you didn't take heed. All right? Judges 10 and 14. Go and cry unto the gods which ye have chosen. Okay? Let them deliver you in the time of your tribulation. All right? I know a lot of you Gen Zs are going to these churches thinking, you know what? Let's think positive and let's do our affirmations. Fuck you and your affirmations, man. That weird shit that you people do. All right? That's what a lot of these rappers and stars and these sellout jakes do. Oh, affirmations in the morning. You know? Oh, I want to be rich today and I want to do better myself and all this kind of shit. You know? The Lord don't care about that. You think that, Trump said, oh, the economy's better. The economy's better. Oh, the economy's better. We're doing better than everybody. We are the strongest. Nobody can take us. You know? And you're going to believe that and then go to these churches thinking that everything's going to be hunky-dory. Nope. All right? Now, the ones that are the hopeful elect, part of this ridiculous group or people going to these wacky-tacky churches, okay, they're going to be drawn out. But the rest of you heathens, you natural heathens, and you 2/3 are going to get it. And you 2/3, you Israelites, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, you Israelite foreigners, okay, that heard the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, but you made mockery of it, okay, but you still believe in the doctrine that a so-called white man taught you because you're a bunch of house ninjas, okay, you're going to get it, man. Judges 10:14 again. Go and cry unto the gods which ye have chosen. Let them deliver you in the time of your tribulation. Okay? And this is a great reflection. All this surge, what happens when what usually happens when a person is scared? They do things which is usually not done during happy times. Okay? Now this was 30 years ago, mid-90s. Clubs popping, pretty girls everywhere. Those of you that in your 20s then, like myself, you remember how more attractive the girls were back then, more natural shape, and if they have big racks, we prefer natural ones as men, right? You remember that time. You remember how, it's easy to get an outfit, easy to buy a pair of Timbs, you could try on shit, put it back, you saw everything at face value, pretty cute girls at the checkouts, you can, shoot your shot and, easily get yourself some, what I mean? It was a more of an accessible world and vibrancy. You would never see a fucking woman wearing their robe and pajamas 7:00 in the evening going to a store to buy some milk. You see that shit. I saw that the other day, man. I said, what the fuck? She was all dolled up, had her hair done and makeup and all that, but she was wearing a robe and pajamas. I said, what the fuck is going on here? You would never see that. We're in a world which also goes to show that people want to bury themselves and bury their head in the sand, which means they sit in their room, probably get high off weed and, try and engross themselves in a more of a nostalgic vibration. That's why Esau Edom is pumping all these 80s movies into YouTube. All right. I know I'm all over the place. Okay. But I'm trying to paint a picture here of people that are being pushed into a corner, and now they think that, okay, let's call on God and Christ and Jeebus. He's going to help us. Ain't going to help you. Ain't going to help you, heathens, period. Okay. 2nd Ezra 6 verse 9 again. All right. For Esau, the so-called white man, is the end of the world. Actually, you know what? Let me get it, man, so you can see it. All right. It's a reflection of the sign of the times, and it goes to show that this world is on its way out because people are scared. As mentioned, 30 years ago, this would never happen. All right. There was no surge back then. People laughed in the faces of our elders. And they say, oh, yeah, right. How's America going to get hit with nukes? This is America. This is big town USA. We control everything. You know, nothing's going to happen to us. We're the richest. We have jobs. We have freedom. We have freedom of speech. You know, people come here for People come here as a safe haven. Yeah, the same safe haven that you took away from the blacks, Hispanics, and natives, right? Fuck you, man, and your safe haven. All right. Now, where are the scoffers today? They walk past with their heads down in front of the prophets, knowing that the prophets were right all along in the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. All right. 2nd Ezra 6 verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world. That's you so-called white people, you cavemen, you cave monkeys. And Jacob, the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, and those that of that royal lineage on their father's side, is the beginning of it that followeth. Our world is coming next. Okay? It's coming next. All right. When I said, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, the Spirit moved my eyes to the timer of the screen recording, and it was 1:44. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. That's the Spirit, man. Our time is coming, man. All right. This world is on its way out. All right. And if you're part of the Lord's sheep, you're going to come out of that bullshit, man. This truth should draw you in like you've been thirsty all your life, and the Lord quenched your thirst spiritually with a cool jug of ice water, that real water from the heavens, not this whatever Esau Edom puts in the water in these taps and these bottled waters. We're talking about that real water, okay? It should draw you in. It should quench your thirst. You know, like you should be in your mind saying, where have you been all my life? Right? And the Lord Yahweh Shah blessed you. Romans 8:16, the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. Okay? You should have been hooked. You should have been drawn in. But as mentioned, you're part of the 2/3 and you're not going to be drawn in. All right? Let's go to Romans 10 verse 2. I quoted that earlier. I'm just going to go into that a little bit. Because our people, man, have a natural connection to the Most High. You know? You don't see pictures of Jeebus, that cracker, in Esau Edom's houses. All right? Esau Edom, the real white man, Esau Edom, these Caucasians, they'll have chopped heads of of animals and boars and bears and tigers and shit because they're murderers, you know? They delete everything. Destruction is a so-called white man's nature. All right? That's their nature. They're evil. Evil by nature. Okay? But in the houses of you so-called Italians, Southern Italians, you Hispanics, you natives, Indians, you so-called blacks, you Negroes, you Benjaminites, you Levites, you're going to have Caesar Borgia hanging on your wall, or you're going to have a rendition of Caesar Borgia with, or a Jeebus on your wall with dreads and long hair. But you're still going to have an idol that you worship. You're still going to have the cross around your neck, which is an idol. Okay? Okay? Because we have a natural connection to the Most High. All right? But because of the grape of our minds, for you 2/3, well, not all of us, for most of you, especially the 2/3, right? You've been graped spiritually, mentally, and physically, where you just believe the doctrine that the slave master taught you. All right? Hence the reason why coming into the truth and speaking and being manly and being fierce and knowing that you can have multiple wives and concubines, and you know you can actually so-called swear. Okay, though I be rude in speech, but yet not in knowledge. Loosely paraphrasing a scripture there. You know, you can be a man. You don't have to be softly spoken like a faggot. You know, you can be nice, but be austere and direct. You know, I'm just mentioning a few things. There's so much more to the truth than what I'm just saying, right? You just don't believe it. You think that to be godly, so-called godly, got to be, oh, Oh, you're so sweet. That's so nice of you. You know, you're gonna have a slick back hairstyle or some kind of process done, and have a clean shaven, smooth face. You know, and wear a suit and a tie, and then you're godly. But last time I checked, people with clean shaven, smooth faces and slick back hairstyles and suits and ties are PDF files. Okay, does EP Steen ring a bell? I'm saying EP Steen in a way, so the algorithm, right? Does the Trump ring a bell? They all look like that, right? The biggest murderers, the biggest rapists, the most evil people have that clean cut look that you assume is righteous. So, but our people have that zeal of the Most High, but they don't have it according to knowledge. All right, that's why our people go hard on Turkey Day, Christmas, and Halloween, and all these worldly holidays, which the Lord don't give a shit about. The Lord don't care about that. Okay, the heathen, the so-called white man that gave you that doctrine, they don't even go to church. They don't even have Caesar Borgia hanging in their house. They don't give a shit. They just say F-U-C-K. They say F-U-C-K to their God that they so-called worship, the so-called white man, which is Satan. You know how they say F-G-O-D. That's what they say, right? Okay, they don't care. But it's you jakes that are stuck in the mud, all right, and not going to get out. The only way you're going to get out of this is you have to be deleted. Romans 10 verse 2, for I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. All right, and time is short. Okay, hence the reason. This is another indication. These churches, right? These people know that time is short. Something's on the horizon. Hence the reason why they're gravitating towards a church for protection, for shelter, because time is short. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there now. All praises, honor, glory, and blessings and power be unto Abanoah Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Wadash, Mawatha Bad Babal, Kwam Yashrala, Shalom.